And for those of you who have experienced sudden, shocking, like heartbreaking, awe-wrenching loss, like Daniela and I lost my brother suddenly. I was a senior as well in high school, and he was coming home, and we were supposed to meet in a homecoming game, and he never made it. He had a not a heart attack, an asthma attack, and just collapsed in front of his school. But it is really those moments, and I want to ask you in that time, because as a senior, and this is so relevant in today's time where there has been a lot of loss, and there's a lot of eh, in this era, lots of loss in both directions, loss of can't do things, and visceral loss of loved ones. How was your support in your community at the time, and how did that change the relationship between you and your brother, and now your mom? Because I can't imagine your mom must have been a wreck.
Yeah, we all, you know, we went through a really, really challenging time. And we all my brother and I kind of stayed together. My mom went through her own thing. And it was really about 5 years before we all came back together, because we were all just processing what had just happened. My dad, I come from a half Greek, half Italian family. The dad's the head of the house. My mom was always a stay-at-home mom. It was just very much, and my dad is the oldest on his side, so that he was very much like, it was this pillar in our family that just broke suddenly. And I am very much like my dad. So then everybody, I look like my dad, I act like my dad, I have the same personality as my dad. So then when like, okay, we're at the brave table. when certain people would see me at certain times, it was almost a hard thing for them to see me, because I had that same energy. So there was a lot of having to work through those types of things. And Hawaii really was the place that healed us and got us back to just, I guess, kind of accepting what had happened and giving us that peace of, not everybody in the community knows, oh, that's the girl who her dad died. Oh, that's the girl who, whatever, it's like you almost get that as a part of your identity.
It's your label and your identity. And God, I hated that so much. I wanted to run from it.
No,
yeah.
That's why it's like, moved to Hawaii, didn't tell anybody. It was just like, I don't want that identity. I want this clean slate.
Especially as a young, as a teenager, all you want to do is fit in. All you want to do is belong. And then, everyone seemingly has like two parents and, their siblings or whatnot. And then you kind of unload in that first or second conversation. Those conversations are like the most awkward, because you're like, oh, what does your mom and dad do? For anybody who
when people are like, oh, your folks are in Hawaii, I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
It's just not, you don't want to just lead like, oh, actually my dad died when I was 17.
Yeah, it was such an odd thing to reckon with, right? Because then that becomes a label, and then if they don't know how to. I think the thing that we're talking about is they don't really know how to respond to the grief or to that sort of like drop in, because then it's like immediately either you probably got this, right? Like a silence or an, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And then you're trying to pick up the pieces and say, no, it's actually okay. So how was that initially when you moved in that first few years in Hawaii? You guys are in this new space, open for healing.
Yeah, it was. So this is my second marriage. So when I first moved to Hawaii, I met this incredible man named Alessio. He was my first husband. We were together for 9 years. I always say we had the most amicable divorce ever. he was
amicable. We don't hear that a lot. That's amazing.
Alessio was the perfect person for me in that season of my life. We laughed together. I was so emotionally supported, and he really held me in that space to allow me to heal and allow me to grow into the person that I wanted to be. And so with him, I went through, we were together just about 9 years before we separated. And it was the time with him that really allowed me to kind of process everything that happened and accept everything that happened and work through um, some of those pains. And we separated because we got to a point where we wanted different things in our life. I wanted a family, et cetera. And he was not in that space that he wanted to do that. Um, and I actually really respect his honesty and integrity with himself of saying, I love you, I care about you, but I know this is not the right thing for me.
Mm.
And so, we chose to part ways, but he's still um Kyle, my husband now, is they know each other. They go to lunch when they go to Hawaii. Alessio still goes to lunch with my family. It really is an amicable divorce, but I
Oh
do
my
have to
gosh.
give him credit for really being there for me emotionally. I know that I would not be the person that I am today that's has grown into the person that can be a partner to someone like Kyle, that can be a partner, that can be the leader of a successful business, that can be
Mm.
the mother that I want to be to my kids if I wouldn't have gone through that season with Alessio.
That's huge. It's huge. And especially, after coming off grief, and it seems like your path was very, you found a person that could really hold you in that time. And
Mm-hmm.
I think especially, losing somebody when you're young, especially when it's a parental or a caretaking figure or just somebody that's in your immediate family, it takes some big shoulders to really hold that amount of space and grief for somebody else without the judgment, without without anything else in return. So it seemed like he was just like the perfect angel in your life at that time.
See you next time at the Brave Table.